Hello and welcome to the Merle and Locke podcast. I'm Merle.
I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything dirt, accompanied by healthy, albeit shameful help in pointless banter, lack of focus, and quest to acquire knowledge.
And more.
And more. Now, Locke, for today's topic, it's something that I had, a conversation with somebody else about at length where, we were having conversation and this came up as a topic as a result. It was the interesting conversation you could have doing like mundane things in video games. So we have, we have these video games that are, really, really engaging and require like a lot of attention and concentration, like just, have to focus in on it and all the aspects that are of the game that are going on around you. And you can't be distracted, and then there's video games where, perhaps there's some level of that, but for the most part, you're just doing these mundane things such as, like base building or, gathering like little materials or something like that, something that doesn't, where your mind can wander and you just go into like autopilot while you're doing these things. And I was actually playing, I know I mentioned Valheim a lot on this podcast because I love that game, but I was playing with someone and we were just getting into like some really interesting conversation, and we were just like, just base building, gathering materials to build up the base. And it took a minute for me to realize that, like, it's kind of nice, like these video games that have this feature, this even though it's like it could be just like the smallest facet of the video game, like they have this feature where you do these mundane things, and if you're playing with friends, you can have really, really cool conversation. And it's probably one of my favorite things to do. Like I'll usually, especially now that I'm getting older and I feel like, skill level is decreasing, substantially, going from video game to video game. I love these games that have like these crafting and building features that you can play with friends and you could just, talk about, your day, what's going on with your life, whatever, opinions you feel have a need to express, whatever it may be. And I don't want to be presumptuous, but I feel like you might have an opposite view on it.
On mundane video games, right? Or just mundane tasks.
Yes.
Yeah, probably. I mean, at least one game that I can get into that does kind of rely on that mundane building and collecting resources and whatnot. And
Astroneer.
Yeah.
Astroneer.
You and I have been playing it again.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. Like, and I don't get it. I don't get it that this is the only game as of right now that I don't mind collecting resources, building stuff, and coming up with ideas how to reset up the base. And ever since they've introduced this like auto extractor and like being able to automatically do things without you having to go and do it on your own, I'm trying to get more into it and learn about it.
Yeah, it's very satisfying, isn't it?
It is satisfying, and I think it's because of the whole auto extraction and what is it? It just the automation of it all. Because a lot of the other games, like I play Valheim with you, Demented knows I do not care for the building aspect in that game. It's the having to get all those resources that just kind of bores me. It's not like I can't I can't quite get into it as much.
No, I completely understand. And plus, Astroneer is it's adorable. It's adorable to look at. It's very pleasant on the eyes. A game I think you would probably like is a game called Satisfactory.
Yeah.
I think it's very similar to Astroneer as far as, trying to develop these systems to, do a lot of this automation
I
type thing.
I honestly can't say that I heard of it.
No?
No.
Oh man, well, I'll have to introduce, or you'll have to look it up on Steam or something. I think it's on Steam. Yeah, I have it on Steam. Yeah, so if ever you want to look into that, just let me know. Because I've played a little bit of it, but I remember when I discovered it, I was also just discovering Astroneer as well, and I opted for Astroneer because I had a feeling that it'd be easier for me to get someone else to play it with me,
Right.
which was you.
Yeah.
Uh, because I think it was like free on Xbox Gold or something like that, or Game Pass. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I figured I could definitely get somebody to play that with me, and that's why I opted for that instead. Uh, but it's something for us to look into. Now, as far as that goes, and you know, if you were given the choice to play either like a more mundane and chill video game, and your other choice would be something more engaging, which one do you think you would probably opt for?
It's usually more of the engaged game, like to keep me occupied, to keep me doing something. But there are some days where I just don't feel like being that immersed into something, and I just kind of want to relax for the day, whether it's I had a very long day and I don't feel like being stressed out about other players, or anything that could just be a stressor.
There always is that toss up, isn't it? Because naturally, I mean, most people that play video games to relax, yeah? Or, well, maybe I'll take that back. I don't know if it's most people, but a lot of people do that to relax, because it's something to do as a little pastime, and to unwind a little bit. But if you're playing these very engaging video games, it gets stressful, Sometimes it gets stressful because you get so into it, and it's hard not to, because you want to get competitive nature comes out, right? And you want to, give your best, for the most part. Even if you're just trying to relax and unwind, like something, I don't know, some kind of switch goes off in your mind. We're like, oh man, I need to like outperform like whoever I'm competing against, you know? And I don't know if I have the most competitive nature.
Now I'm really starting to think about it, right? Something just dawned on me. It just like smacked me like a brick wall. So, back when I actually used to enjoy playing Siege, I know this is shocking. There was a time, was back when I wasn't working.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
So I didn't have any other stressors going on. So I at least enjoyed it for the most part. Now, too much of it, I got irritated, and then there were a bunch of other changes that happened, and I was just like, you know what? I can't mentally deal with it. So you had introduced me to Astroneer at some point, and that's when we just really got into that.
Yeah, yeah. No, cause I absolutely love those, especially if I'm just when I'm having to sit down and trying to relax. I mean, when we play the more engaging games, I feel like when I sit down, in my office to play these really engaging games, whether it be like Siege or Sea of Thieves or whatever it may be, like I feel like I sit there in that moment and trying to get into the mindset, right? Where it's just like I'm prepping for something, that's gonna be rough.
Right.
I feel like I have to get
The
competitive.
stress level's already high.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like an onset where like I realize that I'm trying to be competitive. I instantly try to get in the mindset. I'm like, this is gonna be stressful. I got to get prepared. I need to win, and like I find myself mentally preparing for that, and it's like this whole to do, and that in itself is kind of, oh, I don't know. It's kind of daunting, I guess, in a way, where like I'm less like if I feel like I need to do that, then there's a chance where I'm just like gonna tell the homies, you know what, I'm busy, like I don't think I can handle it myself, and I
Right.
just have to come up with an excuse, to be like, I can't get in that mindset. I can't perform for you guys, I
Right.
can't, I don't want to be like the downer on your little fun time, because I can't get myself engaged, in that game. So, but if I get an offer, or I see a buddy on like some kind of chill video game, I could just jump right in, It's like just without a care in the world. If it's something that I know is going to be mostly mundane, and I don't have to perform, I just, I just jump right in there.
And you can either work on a project together or you can kind of go off and do your own thing. It's...
Oh man, absolutely. That's one of my favorites. Like I remember, like we even have those moments in like when we would play World of Warcraft all the time, right? Where I would just, I would jump in and just do like all these mundane little dailies and what have you, all this easy stuff or resource gathering, try to get like a little achievement here and there, and then you would jump into the Discord or something, and I'd be like, okay, let's do this. And I jump in there, and first question you ask me, like, what do you want to do? Want to go raiding or something? And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then we would go like do a bunch of raids or what have you. Even though like if we were doing like easy raids, that wouldn't be such a big deal. I mean, there's still that like that level of competition. Not something like necessarily like difficult, but this little level of like, performing with your buddy and trying to fly through like as quick as you can or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's not like we were trying to speed run.
Yeah, no,
You and I were just
not
going
really.
in there to either collect cosmetics, try our chance at the mount drops.
Yeah, and then sometimes we would try to do like the newer content raids or dungeons and things like that. And
Hey, I'm gonna say right now, I left that mostly to you. I was just like, if you want to do new content stuff, that's cool with me, but that means we got to deal with people, and sometimes you might make it the whole way through the raid, sometimes you might not.
oh man, that was the most devastating thing, right? When you'd get to a boss that you couldn't, that your raid party was having trouble with, and then people would just start dropping. I hated that. I was like, we made it so far, and now we gotta like, we gotta, try to get more people in here.
It was fine if a DPS dropped, but it was worse if you lost a healer or a tank. You were like,
Yeah.
ah, oh, great. Now I gotta
Yeah.
find another one, so that's another, what, 5 to 10 minutes you gotta sit there and wait and hope.
Oh, it was like an all day affair, bud.
Ah, sometimes.
Golly.
Sometimes,
Uh,
like, if we started it up and you were like, I want to do a raid, it's like, we better start it up now, because God knows when we're going to get in there.
yeah. Oh man, and I think there's a certain level of fear associated with those, public raids and what have you, because like no one would want to be put in like the healer or tank position, right? because of the amount of pressure on you
I know I
to
didn't.
perform. And I didn't have that in me. I was like, oh man, no, never. I tried playing like tanks and healers, just us when we're doing like questing and what have you, and new content.
I stopped
But
being a tank or a healer back in Wrath of the Lich King. Like after Wrath of the Lich King, I dropped off. I said I don't want to do it anymore. Like people started getting super aggressive about what type of gear you had, the abilities you had. Like they wanted to question your play style the whole way through instead of letting you play your own style. And if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. I mean, still to this day, things like that have not changed, which I mean, I guess is a good thing. Because
yeah, well, yeah,
in
people are
a
still
way, like
passionate.
you can predict it's gonna happen. You're like, yeah, somebody's gonna get mad. They're gonna tell you off, and they're gonna leave. That's just the way it is.
True. I guess at a certain level, you become numb to it.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, if somebody else wants to play tank, then go for it. Otherwise, just let me do my thing.
And the thing about you and I is we'll give people a chance.
Yeah. No, it's a rarity, for the most part, with people that are supportive in that type of community. I mean, World of Warcraft is pretty, it's notoriously rough. People are pretty awful, but to each their own, I suppose. But my fondest memories, I think, of and where this podcast in particular was born of, was the nonsensical banter that we would get into while playing World of Warcraft.
It's where it all started.
That's where it all started. Yeah, because we would just be questing or doing mundane things.
I'm gonna tell you right now, there were times you and I would just sit in the middle of a raid, right? So I remember one of the times I think we decided to go back and do Legion since we were finally able to do it by ourselves, and we just kind of sat in the raid talking. That's it. We didn't move. We weren't killing other NPCs. We just were talking. And I was just like, why don't we just do this? Like, it doesn't hurt.
No, it's pretty great. And I think there was...
I wish we would have recorded some of the stuff we talked about. It was great stuff.
Yeah.
Not tooting our own horns here.
Yeah. No, and I loved how we would just have conversations in character, kind of, sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Which was pretty magical.
I love that. We could get immersed if we wanted to.
Yeah. Now, that had always been an idea of mine of doing something directly associated with World of Warcraft, where we would maybe like game capture or something, or while we're playing, and like have these conversations, within the game, or like be in character or something of that nature. Which, I mean, it could be something that we can consider in the future if anybody's, particularly interested. We might be able to give it a go. I have no idea how much it costs for game capture cards, though. So
I don't know.
I mean, we'll see.
Here's the hoping we get to that point.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd love to like get more visuals going on or something, which would be kind of nice, and I feel like it'd be a step in a more creative direction for the channel.
Yeah, I would like to supply something visually for some of those people who want to actually watch something as they listen.
Yeah,
I know we have some people who just need us to really just bullshit. We have some great ideas that we'd like to implement at some point. And you can thank World of Warcraft for all of this.
Yeah. So all in all, I think it is, I think my favorite thing is like mundane elements of, some video games, such as World of Warcraft. And yeah, so I think you are in that boat, considering how fondly you look back on those conversations.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Merle and Locke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.